Hey, what's happening? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. I will give you guys a chance to come into the conversation. We have a lot to talk about today on drboycetv.com, the place for intelligent Black people. As you know, we're not afraid of any conversation, and the goal is to create light, not just fire and smoke, but to help our community to grow, to help us to see things from an analytical standpoint, and to just be smarter, better Black people at the end of the day. Today, I'm really curious about this topic in terms of seeing, what your reaction is, to this issue. It has to do with something with a movement that many people have been paying attention to, a movement that I followed, a movement that I support, and I have a mixed perspective on it, and I want to share that with you today. And The movement is called ADOS. ADOS is it stands for American Descendants of Slaves, and a lot of it links directly to reparations. And there's just a whole lot to talk about here. And I want to say hello to Vicky Dillard. I see Dual Victory in here. DJ Dark Shades, what's going on? Thank you, DJ Dark Shades. He says beat up the like button. Yes, please hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. Please do that. Because we want intelligent Black media to grow. The way we help conversations grow and get spread is we share them. So if you're on Facebook and you have a Facebook page, please hit the share button right now. Please share it to your page. Also, if you are on YouTube, please hit that like button, smash the hell out of that sucker, so that we can push intelligent Black media as far as we can. Now, today is interesting. Today's a real interesting, I think, a very important topic. Some would say a touchy topic. Vicky Dillard sent me an article that I read, and I literally read every word of it, with real intensity, because it has to do with a movement that many of us have been talking about, and a lot of you are a part of this movement. A lot of you support the movement, and one of it's called ADOS. ADOS stands for American Descendants of Slaves, and so the title of the article really got my attention. The title of the article was that he wrote in Medium.com is that ADOS is trash, and then he says I have receipts, and I'm like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. And so here's the thing, when I saw the article, I wasn't sure what to think. I'm not, and to this day, I'm still, I leave the interpretation open for you to decide what you think. I see King Dominic is already pissed. He's saying, throw Talib out with the rest of the trash. I'm going to say not so fast. But then those of you who I saw somebody else say, I knew the ADOS movement was garbage, and I want to say not so fast to you too. Because I think that what we're running into is something that's happened throughout history, and that is a divergence in ideology, a divergence in the sense that you have individuals that believe in the same thing, but they believe in different approaches. And one of the things that I think that we've done far too often that we have to be cautious about is throwing babies out with bathwater. We throw babies out with bathwater. We quick to dismiss and destroy and discredit and expose another Black person as a fraud, as a loser, as a nobody, as somebody who's worthless, somebody you shouldn't listen to, because they said something. They said the same thing we said, but we disagree with their approach, so we think that they're worthless, right? You say tomato, I say tomato, and then next thing you know, you're saying, well, you're a fraud and you don't know anything about the English language because you said tomato, and only an idiot says tomato. And I think that's not very intelligent from a strategic standpoint. So what I want to do is I'm gonna say this first and foremost as we get started, is that I respect Talib Kweli quite a bit. I think that he's one of the good ones. He's been a Black man his whole life. He seems to want to be a Black man for the rest of his life. And so before I would jump out and attack a Black man, like that, I'm going to hear what he has to say. So I read every word of Talib's article. Thank you to Vicky Dillard from FlyNewBeingQueenTV.com for sending this over. Her show comes on in a couple hours, and Vicky sent it to me, and I said, whoa, I read it, and I was like, oh, okay, let me see what he's got to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the article with you guys and kind of break it down and give you some analysis on it to kind of give you a chance to sort of come to your own conclusion on this. So just so you know, I'm going to give us a spoiler alert. My goal is not to tell you what to think. My goal is to encourage you to think for yourself. And also, this is a weird topic for me. I wasn't sure if I should talk about it or not because Yvette Carnell and Antonio More, the creators of the ADOS movement, of the ADOS hashtag, these are people I work with closely. And if you follow the internet, you've kind of seen that they don't think very highly of me. They don't like me at all. They've attacked me every chance that they get. And also, you'll notice that I don't really spend a whole lot of time talking about them because I told y'all in 2019, I ain't trying to be fighting with black people. In 2019, I realized I might be mad at that black man over there, but he ain't my worst enemy. In 2019, my enemy is white supremacy. My enemy is black mediocrity. My enemy is ignorance. Once I defeat ignorance in the black community, once I defeat white supremacy, and once I defeat mediocrity, then maybe I'll get around to the Negroes who got something to say about me on YouTube. But until that point, I'm not in this game to be out here fighting with black people. I will debate you on the issues, but if you start getting personal, oh, Boyce is an asshole and Boyce is a jerk and Boyce is a son of a bitch, well, that does not help anybody because this ain't about Boyce. This ain't about Yvette. This ain't about any one person. And that's the biggest, and that's the number one thing I think we got to understand before we even begin this conversation is this. Movements like this, in a movement that's this important, the ADOS movement / reparations movement, everything else around it is bigger than any one person. It's bigger than any one person or any group of people, any 2 or 3 people. It's bigger than who gets the credit. That's bullshit. That's tiny-minded thinking. That's nigga thinking, if you ask me. I think that's slave talk. Well, I deserve the credit. I'm the one who created the hashtag. Man, who gives a fuck? I don't care if white Jesus made the hashtag. If the shit helps us achieve the goal, then that's what should matter. And that's where we stop. So the egos have to be put to the side. And I've said this to, Yvette and Tone straight up. When they start going crazy, Boyce, you're a fraud, you're a blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, well, just wait until you come up too. I see what you're doing. You're competing. You want to attack. You think that taking me down is going to lift you up, but just wait till you get out there too. And you got little Negroes on the sidelines throwing eggs at you, calling you a fraud, trying to expose you as a fraud. Then you'll kind of understand that how that all goes down. And so really at the end of the day, my only response, when Yvette had something to say to me, my response was, I'll debate you. I'll debate you on the issues. Why don't we have a public debate? Share ideas. Well, I'll debate you all day, but I'm not going to sit here and have a nigga fight with you because I ain't a nigga. I'm not going to do slave talk with you because I'm not a slave. I'm not trying to do that low level shit. If you want to have a debate on the issues, then let's do it. We can get on YouTube and throw down, make it happen. But if you're trying to get out here and talk about who gets the credit and I did this and I created that, I can't do that because I think that we have to remember what matters, and what matters is the objective, and that's where we have to go with this. So let me share the screen with you. This is the article here that I was talking about. Please hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it. Please hit the thumbs up button. Share this video so that intelligent black people can be involved in this conversation. So here's the title. I mean, to live in the first sentence or in the title before the first sentence, he literally puts why ADOS is trash, period. Receipts attached, period. And I said, Talib Kweli, and it says Talib Kweli Green. And I said, is that the same Talib Kweli? Is that the rapper? Is that no, wait a minute. Is that your Talib Kweli? Maybe it's another guy named Talib Green. Talib Green, that guy that lived down the street, around the corner. No, it's the Talib Kweli. And that's a pretty heavy deal, when he says this, and it's such a definitive statement. And he has a picture of Yvette Carnell right here. I don't know if she would like this picture or not, but he puts the picture right there on the front. I know Yvette very well. I worked very closely with Yvette for 7 years, and she's been on my YouTube channel probably 100 times. And in Breaking Brown, we had a business partnership where basically I helped to drive traffic to Breaking Brown, her website, in exchange for a split on the revenue. Because we were all trying to struggle back then. Money was tight. And I was like, hey, I think we can make some money. I think you're very smart. And I still do. I think she's very smart. I think she's a great writer. And that was why I invited her to come in and join me at Your Black World, because she sent me an article and she said, hey, Dr. Boyce, can you share this article? I said, sure, because my platform's open to everybody. I want everybody who's smart. I want smart black people besides me to be on the platform, even if they disagree with me. I don't believe that it should be all about me. And so some say it was a mistake. I've had people say, oh, Boyce, you shouldn't have done that because, look at what she's saying about you now. But I still don't see it as a mistake. I see it as more of a challenge, as a challenge, because my feeling has always been, you got my phone number. Why are we dealing with this on YouTube when we should be dealing with this on a phone call and figuring out a way that we can agree to disagree and fight the bigger enemy? Why does it become Boyce, me against the evil empire called Boyce Watkins? I am nobody's evil empire. I'm just a black man who's doing his best. So I think that one thing we can kind of learn from some of this straight up from the beginning is there has to be some sort of code of conduct, some code of understanding that black people, that we submit to. Maybe I've violated codes, I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, there has to be some sort, here's the thing, we're not gonna get shit in terms of reparations if they know how divided we are. If they know how divided you are, all they're going to do is basically exploit the divisions. And there are agents in the community right now who are already paying attention to all of this, who are already working inside this whole process to create division. That's what they're doing. They're like, oh, okay, wait, Yvette hates Boyce and Talib hates Yvette, and we're gonna go, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Talib and say, did you hear what they said about you? And he gonna get fired up, and he gonna go throw an internet bomb across the web, and then they're gonna go to Yvette. Yvette, did you see what he said? Oh, and then she throws a bomb, and then Boyce, did you hear what you said? And then they'll try to get me to throw a bomb, but I ain't throwing no bombs. I told you, I just realized, wait a minute, the best way I can contribute is to just say, I'm not fighting black people, I'm fighting white supremacy, straight up. So literally, God forbid, I mean, if I was in a situation like a Nipsey Hussle, then yeah, I probably would have got shot down like Nipsey, because I'm not shooting back. I'm not going to aim at, I'm not going to go look for a black person and take them out. It's just not something that's fun for me. It's not something that gives me any sense of satisfaction. It does not help me sleep better at night. In fact, it makes me feel kind of bad when I'm going after black people who believe in the same thing I believe. They just have a different approach. So ultimately, I'm just telling you guys straight up that they're paying attention to all of this. And because we've got an opportunity to do something, and the fact is we're blowing this opportunity by acting like some dumbass little bitches, excuse my French. So let me keep going. So here's what the article says. So let me hold on. Shoot, I lost the YouTube connect. There we go. Okay, so you guys on YouTube, sometimes you'll go out because you're on my phone, and when the phone rings, the Samsung phone, when it rings, you disappear. But don't leave, because I always bring you guys right back. All right, so let's keep going. So in January 2018, Steve Bannon, the architect of Breitbart.com's rise to the Trump White House, a man who told a gathering of white nationalists in France to wear the title of racist as a badge of honor, was from his home. Was fired from his job at Sirius XM after a Jewish actor, Seth Rogen, canceled Sirius XM appearances in protest of Bannon's hateful rhetoric. Many of Sirius XM's hosts of color, including Reverend Mark Thompson, I know Mark is a good guy, who hosts a show on Sirius XM called Making It Plain, were very vocal in their opposition to Sirius XM's decision to give Steve Bannon a platform. Today, Mark Thompson's job at Sirius is in question due to a physical altercation he had in Newark. When I look at the details of the events leading up to the altercation, it seems to me that Sirius XM may be in danger of making the wrong decision again. Let me back up. The Reverend Mark Thompson has been a leading activist and journalist in the black community for over 25 years. His show, Make It Plain, which was the only show of its kind to address black issues nationally for years, was the first talk show on Sirius XM, premiering back in 2001. He used this show to broadcast live from Occupy Wall Street, and he has been on remote wherever ground zero was wherever ground zero for the movement was, from Sanford, Florida to Ferguson, Missouri. He's been arrested for protesting on behalf of the people, and he joined Dick Gregory, Maxine Waters, and journalist Gary Webb in exposing the CIA's role in the crack cocaine epidemic. This brother has paid his dues. I was only marginally aware of Mark Thompson's pro-reparations work before both him and I started being harassed by a new hashtag movement bubbling online called ADOS, which stands for American Descendants of Slaves. I saw him on Joy-Ann Reid's MSNBC program being described as a member of the National African American Reparations Commission due to his research and support of the concept of reparations for African Americans who are descended from enslaved people. So remember, a lot of people have been talking about reparations for a long time. So anybody who even insinuates that the ADOS movement is sort of the first time reparations have been part of a conversation, I think that's a little bit you're jumping the gun and you're wrong. It's just incorrect. I mean, you can go back 100 years and there were people talking about reparations. It wasn't just a recent thing. So anyway, like Mark Thompson, I've always been pro reparations. In my first solo song ever, 2000 Seasons from 1997, I rap. They call it reparations, but they call it extortion. So then he talks about other songs that he wrote about reparations, etc., or lyrics he's had. He says, I'm of the belief that African Americans absolutely deserve reparations, and I've worked closely throughout my career with a pro-reparations community group called Malcolm X Grassroots Movement. However, none of that mattered to a woman named Yvette Carnell, a founder of the ADOS movement, when she decided to wander over to my mentions to aggressively critique me for writing what amounted to an anti-Trump tweet. The ADOS position is that we should not vote for any Democrats unless they promise to support reparations. They don't hold the GOP to the same standard. And even though Yvette Carnell used to support the Sanders campaign in 2016, she was very upset at me for implying that I like Sanders better than Donald Trump. So Talib wrote, here's what he wrote on Twitter. I'm going to actually do a screen share. If you're on drboycetv.com, you can actually see the screen share. If not, I'll just read it to you anyway, so you can stay where you're at. It's up to you. Talib wrote, I support the idea of reparations, but I am more in support of a plan for reparations than I am in support of shouting reparations now into the void or holding my vote hostage and letting Trump win because the candidate who can beat him doesn't see that vision. So Yvette writes back, this is the problem with Black celebrity, loud and wrong. I don't know why we should be concerned with what you think anyway. And she put ADOS, life is imploding, and you obviously don't understand what the data suggests about the need and urgency of a reparations movement program. Now, so it sounds like, you know, she took issue with what Talib said, and she took offense to what Talib said. Now, Talib is arguing, you know, he's saying, I didn't even mention ADOS. I wasn't even talking about you. I did not tweet at you. I didn't do anything like that. But at the same time, you know, Yvette does have a point that when you say, you know, I'm not in support of screaming reparations now into the void. Well, you know, one thing ADOS has really done effectively is they've actually gotten the reparations conversation, you know, into the fold. I think a lot of good people, not just the leaders, but the leaders deserve credit for starting the movement. But a lot of good people jump behind the idea of saying, yeah, American descendants of slaves deserve specific support. We deserve specific reparations. We deserve specific address and redress for the things that we have dealt with in this country as Black people. And that's become a conversation, right? It's something that, you know, the Cory Bookers are paying attention to now, Kamala Harris. All these people are talking about it now because you have this sort of movement online. So I think that it does make sense that you would, you know, connect his statement to be sort of part of the Black elite, because you got these Black elite people that sort of don't really like any Black folks, you know, that are more grassroots upsetting the apple cart. When the reality should be that those in the Black bourgeoisie or the Black elite, they should be taking their orders from the ground up, not from the top down. That's their biggest problem. They're taking orders from the top down, and they're being told and they're being compensated for carrying water for the white elite of the Democratic Party. So the white elite come along and they grab some Negro on TV. I don't think Talib Kweli is in this category. I think that's why he feels stuck in the middle. But they go to the Angela Rise or whoever, and they say, look, you can bitch all day about Donald Trump, but you can't bitch about your own damn party. You can't talk about Joe Biden and the fact that creepy Uncle Joe looks like a bigger child molester than R. Kelly could have ever been. You know, you can't talk about that too much. You can mention it, but you can't really dig into that. But if it happens on the other side, if it happens in the right wing, you can talk about it all day. So that kind of leaves Black folks feeling left out, because we're kind of like, wait a minute. So you're having this complete loyalty to these people who have no loyalty to the Black community, who have no desire to elevate the community or hear our issues. So I think that is kind of the problem. You know, you got Black elite who are taking orders from the top down and carrying water for the Democrats, where really, if you're going to carry somebody's water, carry the water from your own people. So that's right in this tweet that, you know, a lot of celebrities are loud and wrong. I think it's an overgeneralization, but she is correct. I don't know why we should be concerned with what you think anyway. I don't like that, because that sounds dismissive, and it's almost this idea of sort of, you know, like you don't have a right to talk, and that's very anti. If you want to say anti-American, maybe if you talk about it, idealistically, Americans are supposed to have things like freedom of speech, and it sounds a lot like that lady Simone Sanders. Anybody remember Simone Sanders, that Black lady who got on TV and said Black men need to just shut the hell up and stop talking? Right, you know, that's what it sounds like, and it's really fascinating to me that I've seen liberals who claim historically they claim to believe in things like freedom of speech. They're the first ones to tell you to shut the fuck up, and I think that's weird. I don't understand that. So I think that you know, overall, the idea that American descendants of slaves are struggling, I think that's a clear point, and I think that, you know, that ADOS, the American descendants of slaves deserve to be in the conversation, and they're not consistently in the conversation. But Talib is correct in the sense that he's saying, look, we need a plan. We need a plan. We need to be strategic. Play chess, not checkers. You know, because I'm going to tell you, one of the challenges with ADOS, and this is one I agree with, is that you can't have this movement where you're claiming to unify people, but you're systematically dividing people and destroying people and alienating everybody who wants to help you. You know, I mean, if you go down the track record, I mean, I don't even care that Yvette Carnell has done numerous hit pieces on me to try to destroy me, to destroy the idea of Black people doing for self, to try to destroy the Black business school. We got 80,000 students, and a lot of them are in there for free who are saying this guy helped change our lives. Correct us, help make us better. Don't fucking think that you are benefiting people by destroying everything we're trying to build. Like, you don't get a new building built just because you burn one down. You don't have a new building automatically built just because you burn one down. That historically is what they call crabs in a barrel. When crabs are in the barrel, climbing on top of the other crabs, none of them damn crabs get out the barrel, but you feel like you the big crab in charge, you the winner because you killed off all the other crabs trying to get out of the barrel just like you. You don't do that. So ultimately, you know, my point on this is to say that, look, you know, when you have, I mean, you look at the track record, you have attacked Louis Farrakhan, who's been fighting for Black people for 80 years. You have attacked Dr. Claude Anderson, who has been fighting for Black people for about 70 years. You have attacked so many individuals, so many people that, you know, would be great allies in this movement. You know, great other people who would say, yeah, absolutely, we deserve to have reparations. So the problem with that is that the rhetoric becomes very toxic. It starts to feel very destructive. It starts to feel very almost arrogant. Just like I want to destroy everyone, and almost to the point where you're almost like you're hurt. Like maybe you feel that, correctly so actually, that the Black men have been getting a lot of respect and for what they've done, but the Black woman isn't always celebrated as much as she should for her contributions. So maybe you feel this inherent competition with men that leads you to say, if I see a Black man succeeding, I want to see his ass burned to the ground. Right? Like really, like seriously, I mean, it's almost a competitive thing because I don't really understand. Now, don't just help me with this. Help me. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you agree. Say something, please. Talk Black to me. Vicky Dillon's in here. Please talk Black to me on this. I don't really see how any reparations movement is better off when you're trying to dismantle and destroy Dr. Claude Anderson. How does the destruction of Dr. Claude Anderson, go find the video, it's right there on YouTube. How does the destruction of Dr. Claude Anderson help a reparations movement? Somebody tell me. I don't really see how a public assassination of Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm not saying that you're wrong to critique Farrakhan. You can critique Farrakhan all day. I mean, that's fine. I don't have no problem with people to critique Farrakhan. Fine. Say what you want to say. It's a free country. Even the minister. I've spoken with the minister on many occasions. And when I actually approached him and talked to him personally about Yvette's critique, back when Yvette and I used to work together, we worked very closely. Her critique was done on my channel, and I felt very embarrassed by that because I was not aware that that was happening, and I didn't want it to be mistaken that me allowing someone else to have freedom of speech meant that I am co-signing on what they just said, because I wasn't. And so I went to the minister's house, walked around the corner. He lived 2 blocks away from me in Chicago at the time, walked to his house and met with him personally and said, look, I want to talk to you about this critique that was online. And you know what the minister said? The minister said that he was perfectly fine with her expressing herself. And in fact, he even said, encourage her to keep speaking. And I remember thinking, man, that is a man right there. That's a real man right there. That is a strategist. That is a man who knows how to play chess. When all of us run around here, don't even know the motherfucking rules to checkers. We can't even play tiddlywinks, hopscotch in this bitch. And this man is playing chess at the highest levels. You know, so I didn't mean to cuss, but I'm just telling y'all exactly what's on my mind. I'm speaking from my heart right now. I hope that's okay. So I'm sitting here just trying to say that, you know, it doesn't mean that you can't have things that you can critique about other people, It's okay to critique someone's approach and to say, you know, you could do this better if you did this. Like black businesses, it's okay to go to a black business and say, I'm not going to come back here for a long time because y'all gave me some bad chicken, or the food was terrible, or the service was horrible. It's okay for you to say that. But what's not okay is for you to say, I'm going to make it my mission in life to make sure that that black business never makes another dollar. I want that business gone. I want your children to starve, and I want you niggas to be on the street. Because if you're acting like that, then you might as well go join the Klan, because you're doing a better job of black destruction than they are. So let me say this, and I see a comment. I'm gonna go back to the article, but I see a comment in here that says Yvette is a problem for ADOS. I think that her intellectual vision is extraordinary. She's a very smart woman. That's why I worked with her for several years. If I was to call her a dummy, then I'd be insulting myself, because I co-signed on her intelligence for many years, and I still believe in that intelligence. However, I do think that it must be remembered that as we all fight for reparations, that this movement ain't about one person and one person's agenda and one person's ego or one person's perspective on which black people need to be destroyed this week. A leader has to have what psychologists refer to as self-actualization. A good leader is self-actualized, meaning they've reached the highest rung of what is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And basically, long story short, the highest rung means you've risen above ego. You've risen above the need for people to pat you on the ass and tell you that you're a wonderful person. You've risen above the selfishness that comes with going in and taking money. That's, you know, all the pastors that they use their power in the pulpit to go get sex and get money. They haven't reached the highest levels spiritually. It's a spiritual journey. The top rung is self-actualization, when you realize that the movement, your cause, is bigger than you. You are living for something greater than yourself. And that's when you realize that I am a God, but I really ain't shit. Like, I'm the same thing. I am as great as a God because I have the power of God working through me. But at the end of the day, my existence, whether I'm breathing or not, does not matter. Whether I'm leading the movement or not does not matter. What matters is the cause at hand. And I think that's something that's very difficult to get to. I think Martin Luther King was there. There are a few other people there. Malcolm was there. That's why when they told Malcolm that he was going to get killed or he might die that week, Malcolm didn't care. He barely flinched. That's why when a gunshot went off and Dr. King was giving a speech, Dr. King didn't even look in the direction of the gunshot. Everybody else ducked and got scared. Dr. King just sat there. He said, yeah, I might die, and that's okay, because I have a bigger vision, and I've already seen something that the rest of y'all can't see. So it's okay if you get scared, but I'm not going to get scared, because that's not my job. Let me keep going. Let me open up this article. I'm going to screen share again. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. If you want to support intelligent black media, please go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. So let me keep reading. All right. So he says, I was taken aback when I received such a vile personal attack on my character and my life's work from what seemed at first glance to be a pro-black woman. It was clear to me that I supported a plan for reparations in the tweet she was critical of. So why the attack? I'd never heard of ADOS or Yvette Carnell before I wrote the tweet. So why did she take a tweet that wasn't written to her or about her so personal? Why did she assume I was talking about her and her movement? I believe that's that's called hit dogs hollering. Would it have been more prudent and pragmatic to share her plan with me rather than dismiss me at wholesale as some loud and wrong black celebrity in our first exchange ever? And I think that says a lot right there. That statement says a lot. I think, you know, one of the things Vicky Dillard actually shared with me one time is she talked about how she was trained, she's in the Nation of Islam, how she was trained to handle disputes with other black people. When you have disputes with other black people, you know, there are people that say that there's a point where you got to get to where you realize that it's better for me to get on the phone with you and talk it out. It's better for me and you to figure out how we can actually work this out and be friends, as opposed to us fighting with each other. So ultimately, you know, I agree with him. I think that, you know, one of the things that we're missing in the community is this ability to agree to disagree. The ability to just say, look, I'm not going to throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. You know, the internet, YouTube is a weird place, because YouTube creates these instant celebrities, these people that have, maybe you get 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 followers. Suddenly you think you are somebody. Suddenly you think you have this powerful voice. You spent your whole life as a Black person with people ignoring you, never giving you the opportunities you deserve. So suddenly, I've got this YouTube channel, so I'm going to go in here and attack everybody that I can, because that's going to help me elevate. And that's what happened. When my name started getting bigger, I started noticing people putting my name in the title so they could get more views, because they make money from that, and it helps them to grow in clout. And I understand that, but at the same time, I think that when you're talking about serious issues like the battle for reparations, which the federal government is paying attention to, COINTELPRO, whatever version of it they have right now, they're paying close attention to this. You have to have some sort of strategy that goes beyond just, I'm going to launch a digital bomb at you on the internet in order for me to gain clout, or in order for me to become a bigger deal. And so I think that he's right. I think that Talib Kweli is a person, he sounds like a person who wanted to be an ally, but he was made into an enemy because he was seen as an enemy from the beginning. He was seen as somebody that oh, well, he's just another loudmouth celebrity, man, fuck him. When the reality is that if you look at the man's track record, he's done the best he can based on what his perspective happens to be. And is he not an American descendant of slaves? He's not, he's got a Haitian background, but my God, I mean, the man, he talks about this actually, this is interesting. He says, as bad as Yvette Carnell's initial unsolicited tweet to me was, her followers were way worse. They collectively decided I was a Haitian immigrant as a way to justify their dismissal of my position. So any Black person not born in America has no place in the ADOS movement. I think that's a huge mistake. I think that we have to figure out how to fight our battle within the context of the global Black community. We got brothers and sisters struggling all over the world. And I just wouldn't feel comfortable telling those people that they're less than. And I think maybe traveling around the world is what opened my point of view to this. When I went to London, I saw Black people that were more committed to the struggle of Black people than the Black people that I know back home. I go to other countries and I see the same problems everywhere. So I don't really see, I can understand addressing the unique aspects of what it means to be Black in America and making sure that that's on the agenda. But I don't understand the idea of alienating every Black person in another country. So he says, we've never been Haitian. It became, wait, is that what he says? He says, we've never been Haitian. He says, my mother was born in New Jersey and my father was born in Queens. I was born in Brooklyn. We've never been Haitian. It became apparent to me very quickly that ADOS was an anti-Black immigrant movement when scores of ADOS accounts began to harass me. An American-born citizen, let me see, wait, I lost it. An American-born citizen for being an immigrant. I was called a coon, a sellout. I was told to go back to Haiti. When I pointed out that Yvette Carnell made a YouTube video entitled Pan-Africanism is Dead, I was told to go back to Africa. One ADOS person threatened to shoot me, and several others, including a verified Twitter user named Junot Joyner, who once lost on American Idol 11 years ago, threatened to show up to where I perform and physically assault me. And I think that's one of your issues as well, is that sometimes movements take on the personalities of the leadership. If the leader is out just attacking everybody, it's like a Hitler thing. If the leadership is out here attacking, then yeah, your followers are going to attack. Donald Trump is a perfect example of that. Donald Trump gets up there and says, beat the son of a bitch, get his ass out of here. And then the leaders are like, oh, we've gotten confirmation from our leader to go and attack. So we become soldiers in an army. And I'm not going to say that people don't have the right to say what they want to say, but I think that if you're going to use leadership to activate people to action, it should be something that is a little more productive than let's just go alienate as many people as we can. For example, when I activate people to action, I'll say something like, yeah, teach your kids this summer, make sure that they're reading Powernomics, right? And a lot of people will have their kids reading Powernomics. That to me makes more sense than saying, let's just go alienate people and I'm going to go attack everybody on Twitter and tell you who I don't fuck with and who I can't stand and all that. I don't know. I mean, everybody does a little bit of that. Everybody gets into that where you get mad at somebody you want to say, like Oprah. Y'all saw how I feel about Oprah with Michael Jackson. I was like, man, Oprah has really disappointed me with this attack on Michael Jackson. I will personally have nothing to do with Oprah, but that's not the most productive use of energy, and that's not something you should be doing every single day. Now, one of the things that I see here, somebody says Boyce is doing a hit piece on ADOS. Let me make this abundantly clear. This is not a hit piece on the concept of ADOS. If I do a hit on ADOS, I'm doing a hit on myself because I'm ADOS. I am an American descendant of slaves, whether people want to acknowledge that or not. In fact, I think it is funny. I think Yvette did say something on Twitter. I think, she's a pretty good digital gangster. I would love for her to debate in public. I'd love for her to just get online and talk it out with people instead of like angry tweets. But it's fine. And the tweet was like, ADOS wants nothing to do with you, Dr. Boyce. And I'm like, well, I don't give a fuck if ADOS want nothing to do with me because I am ADOS. So you can't tell me that I want nothing to do with myself. That's what I am. And I support the movement for reparations. What I'm saying, again, just the same way you should talk about a black business that's doing things in a way that's not quite optimal. You don't try to destroy the black business. You say, hey, you need to do a little bit better. Or, hey, your management, you need a different CEO, or you need better executive decisions being made because you're taking a good idea and you're not executing the idea in the appropriate way. You see, because if you think about life, again, I'm a business guy, so I think about things in terms of systems and business. If you gave me a choice between a brilliant idea that's poorly executed and a mediocre idea that's executed with perfection, I would take the mediocre idea in a minute. It's the mediocre idea that's executed perfectly that ends up getting to the destination. If you take a football team and one team has a brilliant offense and they don't run it right, another team has an average an average offense, and they run it with precision with excellent players, the team with the average offensive scheme is going to win the game, right? So, so what I'm saying is with this whole concept, of defending the American descendants of slaves, or the descendants of slaves, to create the hashtag, to push forward the movement, to challenge politicians, to talk about reparations in the midst of their discussions, I think it's wonderful. I even think that the fact that the ADOS movement has an edge to it is a good thing, right? The edge to it is, yeah, we're not trying to be part of the system. We're not trying to be folded into anything you've got going on. We are here to pressure you. We are a little bit Tea Party-ish in terms of holding you to a different standard than what you're used to. We are sort of the black equivalent of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I hope I pronounced her name right. We're kind of the black equivalent to that, where we're kind of saying, yo, like, we need you to go a little bit harder. Like, that Breakfast Club interview was bullshit. I think that's great because what that does is that does allow the more established, the establishment folks to do their job more effectively, assuming that they want to do the right job. The thing is, you got to figure out which black folks are really hearing you and which ones in the so-called establishment are not hearing you. So the ones that are hearing you, I think one person that's kind of hearing us a little bit might be a guy like a Cory Booker. I'm not saying I'm a vote for Cory Booker. He ain't earned my vote yet, but he did earn a little bit more respect when I saw that as part of his presidential campaign, he was introducing the bill to investigate reparations. He was pushing for reparations in a public sense in a way that I don't believe he would have done had the ADOS hashtag and the movement and those individuals involved not pushed forward on that, right? So I think you can talk about the movement and the energy behind the movement and the idea of the movement, the ideology of the movement, separate from the leadership of the movement. I think you can critique the leader and kind of say, hey, you got to kind of slow your roll, mature a little bit, evolve your approach, while still saying, yeah, but the movement is still good. So I don't agree with Talib when he's saying ADOS is trash, because you're talking about a lot of people that believe in this, and they grabbed onto this because black folks grab onto things that represent what we believe in. People didn't jump into ADOS because of the leaders or because of Yvette and Tone. They jumped into ADOS because they were like, yeah, we deserve reparations. It's about damn time this was brought to the table. So when people support you, just be clear, when people support you, they're not supporting you because you are the shit, or because you're just so wonderful and you're so amazing. They're lending you their support the same way a woman will decide that she's going to allow you into her home or into her bedroom or into her body. And that is a privilege. That is not your right. You don't own that woman. As soon as she decides that you shouldn't be there, you're going to have to get the hell out. So when black people lend you their support, you should be grateful to those individuals, consistently grateful, and realize that you're there because they're allowing you to be there, not because you somehow have the birthright of a king or you are the next great blankety blank or whatever. So that's the point is I think if the movement was to be improved or tweaked a little bit, I know it's going to be taken wrong because of who's saying it. I know that, you know, when Yvette and Jones see that Boyce made a video or said anything about the movement, because I haven't said much about it, they're going to be like, oh, well, Boyce is this and Boyce is that and screw Boyce, and that's fine. I don't care. If you can dog me out, I dog myself out. I ain't shit. I ain't nobody. But I think if I was to humbly offer a critique, I would say, get over yourself. And remember that it's the people behind this movement that make it strong. It ain't you. It ain't you. It ain't about you. You know, so anyway, let me keep going. Let me jump in and let me keep reading this article. So Talib Kweli writes this article, and it's called ADOS is Trash, and he says, I have receipts. And it gets real messy because so he keeps going. He talks about you know, the whole idea that Pan-Africanism's dead, which I don't agree with. I think that's a silly concept. The strategy for ADOS to get reparations seemed to be attacking famous Black people for two reasons. First, for not being Black and American enough by a standard set by ADOS. And secondly, for being anti-Donald Trump. Yvette Carnell's partner in the founding of ADOS is a former Los Angeles County District Attorney named Antonio More, who spends his free time making YouTube videos that critique filmmaker Jordan Peele for hiring Africans that haven't been born in America as the leads for his movies. Antonio is another guy that I share my YouTube channel with a lot. I put his articles on my website. I was very helpful to Antonio. I never understood his resentment toward me. To this day, I still don't. Honestly, any of these people can pick up the phone and call me, and I would talk to them. I just want to make that 100% clear. So let's see here. ADOS folks online constantly tweet about taking down Ta-Nehisi Coates, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Bernie Sanders, Roland Martin, Angela Rye, and every other prominent public critic of Donald Trump. It's really interesting when you state this list. Some of these people on this list I don't respect. I'm not a big fan of. You know, Ta-Nehisi Coates, I have no issue with. I think his reparations book was a good start. Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, kind of Barack Obama 2.0. I'm not interested in. They're not getting my vote. Bernie Sanders, if you don't mention reparations, you won't get my vote either. Roland Martin, that's a guy that I could work with because Roland and I used to we see eye to eye on a lot of issues. But Roland's been mad at me since we had a Twitter battle. Not even a Twitter battle. It was a private text battle back in 2012, and he's been mad at me ever since. Angela Rye, I met her, and I just did not like her spirit. I did not feel she was a good person. I saw the way she was treating other people, and it really made me sad and made me angry. And so I don't want to be around people who have a bad spirit. That's just not preferred for me. And so anyway, let's keep going. He says, and every other prominent public critic of Donald Trump. They say that they only go after Democrats because Democrats have taken the Black vote for granted, which is true. While that statement can be proven true, okay, so he's agreeing. ADOS fails to realize that the results of only going after Democrats is handing a free pass to the GOP, which is true, but I think that there's a little more to say about that, right? You know, that's the number one critique against those who say Black people should do what's in their best interest and withhold their vote if they choose to do that. I think that where a nuance could be made in that point is to say that there are people who say don't vote, and then there are people who say do what you would like to do what works best for you. And I'm in that second category of saying do what's best for you, think for yourself. And that becomes enough of a threat where I get attacked for saying, you know, by people saying, well, you're putting Donald Trump in office. And I'm saying, no, you're putting Donald Trump in office because if you actually increase and improve what you're doing for African Americans, then I will be more than happy to tell them that I'm going to go vote for you. And maybe that will make some people vote because I'm giving an endorsement. But I'm not going to undermine my own integrity by endorsing something that I don't believe in. So until you change your behavior and you stop putting Donald Trump in office, then we're just going to have another 4 years of Donald Trump, right? So that's the whole discussion there, because I think that the Democratic Party can be legitimately critiqued for believing that Black people are just going to vote just because. You know, that Black people just going to grab onto whatever's out there and they're going to do whatever people say. And I think those days should be over. I don't think Black people benefit by just doing what people tell them to do. I think Black people benefit by doing what's best for our community. So let's keep going. They say that they only, well, okay, so let's see here. While that statement can be proven true, ADOS fails to realize that the results of only going after Democrats is handing a free pass to the GOP. When you raise that question, far too many ADOS folks begin to defend Trump and double down on their attacks of all Trump's opposition. Now that's interesting. So it's almost like in this article that Talib is actually seeking to make a point that the ADOS movement, that many individuals in the ADOS movement are actually pro-Trump supporters. And so to make his point, which I think is really interesting. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in a second. He shows a video clip of Yvette wearing a MAGA hat, Make America Great Again. And I thought that it was photoshopped in. The Yvette Carnell that I knew was not a person that would be wearing a MAGA hat. I never really, I never saw her speak in that way. I've disagreed with her, but I didn't take it personally. I just saw it as good for the platform because I said, well, Black people can, have different points of view, and that's okay. I think the MAGA hat, maybe she was wearing it to make a point in her video. I think it's unfair for Talib to sort of blanketly define ADOS members as being pro-Trump. They're not pro-Trump. Just because Trump benefits from the fact that there are Black people in the community demanding something more out of the Democratic Party, that in no way implies that the majority of the ADOS members are supportive of Donald Trump. I think that's an unfair characterization. I think it's ultimately inaccurate. And so, in fact, if you're not a fan of pro-Trump or of Donald Trump, raise your hand. Say I do not support Donald Trump, or I'm not a supporter, or something like that, just to make that point. So anybody watching this podcast can see how many people say I don't support Donald Trump. If you are a supporter, say I do support Donald Trump. Very few people are gonna say that in this podcast because there are no Trump supporters in here, or there are very few. But the thing is, if you are a Trump supporter, it doesn't matter. It's just like your sexuality in this room does not matter as long as your Blackness comes first. What color clothes you wore this morning, if you are a Crip or a Blood and you like to wear red or blue, that does not matter. If you like to wear Walmart shoes or you like to wear Gucci shoes, that does not matter. Those things are secondary. Blackness is primary. And that's the key idea. I think that we've got to get to that point. So I think that kind of trying to paint ADOS as this pro-Trump initiative, or it's a secret, it's like the secret thing where they're trying to really support Trump by creating this division in the Black community. I think that's just not fair. I don't think that's true. Although that's what politics is. Politics is just dirty. People will, and I've seen people try to do that to me, where they'll try to associate me with someone. They'll say, well, Dr. Boyce, one time he had a conversation with this guy, and this guy turned out to be a murderer. So Dr. Boyce is basically a murderer because he had a conversation with a murderer. And I'll be like, man, what is this crap? So politics is dirty and it's stinky, and it kind of goes, it just goes to a point of being disingenuous. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So let me keep going. He says, when I began peeling back the layers of ADOS to try and understand why they seem so focused on attacking immigrants and all anti-Trump Black people, even clearly pro-reparations anti-Trump Black people, what I found was startling. Largely due to the impeccable research of a Twitter user named Imani Kushan, I began to see that Yvette Carnell, whose Twitter name is Breaking Brown, seemed to use her YouTube channel to push right-wing, pro-Trump, anti-immigration propaganda. She has videos titled, "Why is everyone so afraid of Steve Bannon?" and "Trump is right about Black poverty." There was a video of her wearing a MAGA hat, which she deleted once we called her out for wearing it. She has tweets about how, now I do know Yvette, and I do know Yvette. When you're buddies with somebody, you kind of know the stuff that makes them nervous. And I can see her getting real nervous about something like that. Because I bet she got nervous because she probably was trying to make a point by wearing the hat. I don't think she was wearing it because she was pro-Trump. I think she's probably wearing it to make a point. But, I guess in politics, when people play those dirty games, that's what they're going to do. They're going to snap a screenshot of you wearing the Trump hat. There was a video of her wearing the MAGA hat, which she deleted. She has tweets about how Trump looks so presidential on TV and about how Trump is correct about birthright citizenship. She uses her Twitter account to push anti-immigration propaganda, and she uses Nazi slogans like blood and soil. She wrote an essay on her Breaking Brown blog called Black Lawmakers Shouldn't Be Out Here Calling Trump Illegitimate. And despite her denials of her support for Trump, the evidence is clear that in action, Yvette Carnell is pushing the GOP's message. That to me, I'm gonna just tell you like this, just point blank, just me being real with you. I didn't agree with that. I don't see Yvette Carnell being pro-Trump, but maybe there's something out there I haven't seen or something I don't know about. It's not true, but here's where I would, if Yvette would call me back and we were friends and we were talking, I would probably say to her, don't alienate everybody, because Talib Kweli is a guy who it seems like if you just left him alone or would just remain cool with him, He would have just said, okay, you see it this way, I see it that way, tomato, tomato, but I still support what you're doing and I support what's being done over here. I got famous friends like, like Roland Martin or Cory Booker, but I also got grassroots friends. Talib Kweli is a grassroots guy. He was down there in Ferguson on the street, getting into it with Don Lemon, calling out his old punk ass. Like Talib Kweli, when I see him on TV, I look at him and it's like, okay, that's a guy I could work with. It doesn't matter if we all see eye to eye. What matters is, can you work together? And I could work with a Talib Kweli, because his heart's in the right place. So ultimately, it's almost like police. Think about it like cops. When you talk about cops come into a black neighborhood, and most of the people in that neighborhood are good people, law-abiding citizens who want the police to arrive when they need protection and safety. Right? Most black people do not hate cops. They just don't. They don't naturally. They tell me, did you grow up? Yes or no? Answer yes or no. Did you grow up just hating cops? Like, when you were a kid, did you just feel from the beginning that every cop was a scumbag and that they should all die and that they're all just terrible people and if they see you, they're gonna shoot you on the street? Did you feel that way? Yes or no? The answer is no. Right? Most of you did not hate cops when you were a baby, right? But here's what led to you having an issue with cops over time. What happened for most good folks, I'm talking to good people here. I'm not talking about no thugs or crazy people or whatever, extreme people. What happened is you invite the cops to your neighborhood, right? And you're like, oh, they're here to get the bad guys. The bad guys are over there, officer. And the cop comes to town or comes to your hood, and first thing he does is he grabs your grandmama and slams her head on the dashboard, on the dash of the car, right? And he grabs your little cousin and says, get your ass on the sidewalk now. And your cousin's like, well, I didn't do anything. Shut up, get on the ground now, or I'm gonna shoot you, right? And you're traumatized. You're like, oh my God. A lot of black folks went through this in the 80s and the 90s when the drug game was big, right? They were raiding. I had a friend, she said, we didn't even have an issue with cops, but they would raid my grandmother's house because they thought it was the crack house. And they had no respect. They would tear our whole house apart, kick down the door, rip the bed sheets open, to point guns in the faces of the children in the house, and we were traumatized. So we grew up afraid of cops. We grew up hating them because of what they did to us. So 20 years later, chickens come home to roost. Now cops have a very hard time getting support from black communities because they alienated the people who wanted to support them in the first place. Those who normally would have been pro-cop are now afraid of cops or mad at the cops for good reason, because you came in and you alienated your allies. You didn't make a distinction between your allies and your enemies. And that's the mistake that I believe is made when ADOS leadership decides we're going to go attack Talib Kweli without even taking the time to talk to this man, without taking the time to investigate what's going on, or to decide if it's even worth it to have him as another enemy. Because now you got this damn hit piece, this article. This article is a hit piece. That's what it is. I mean, it's like, shit, he went hard on this. This thing's got to be at least 3,000 words. You got a hit piece from a celebrity that is dismantling your entire movement. What good is that? What good does the ADOS movement gain from Talib Kweli feeling like he needs to take 3 hours, 4 hours out of his busy celebrity schedule to go chop you into little pieces in front of everybody? Now, even the people that would have joined the movement aren't going to fuck with you because they saw the article first. Now what happens? Who's the loser when black people fight black people? Somebody, a trivia question. Somebody answer this question. Duel, Mama Zike, Jazz Local, Malik. When black people fight black people, who's the loser when black people fight other black people? Who's the loser? It's black people. When black people fight black people, the loser is always a black person. When Eric Holder decided to go shoot down Nipsey Hussle, they thought it was a battle between Eric Holder and Nipsey Hussle, when really no, it's just, one black man dead, another black man in prison. So the loser is the black community because we just lost 2 men in that situation and we have a traumatized family that's got to find a way to move on. in a community that feels like it's lost yet another piece of a little bit of hope that it had, that things were going to get better in that community. So I'm going to just say strategy, winning in politics requires strategy, and I'm not a politician, but I'm a mathematician. I ain't gonna be no politician, but I'm a mathematician. Mathematicians, we know basic shit. Like, we know 2 + 2 is 4. And basic strategy means that you have to pick your enemies wisely. You have to decide who you're gonna alienate. If you alienate everybody and you're fighting everybody, then you're gonna be fighting battles on multiple fronts and you won't have any support. Like Umar Johnson made a huge strategic error when he came and he decided to attack me. Attacking me was not his strategic error, because he was going off on me on his Instagram. And I'm not going to say nothing bad about Umar, because I told you I ain't trying to be fighting with black people in 2019. But let me tell you his strategic error. Umar Johnson's strategic error was not attacking me, because Umar's a better orator than me. He's smoother. He's probably got more support than I do. God bless him for that. I don't have no issue with Umar. The issue for Umar, the mistake he made, was that he attacked me and then he attacked Tariq Nasheed at the same time. And then Tariq Nasheed gets pissed, and Tariq does this hit piece and destroys Umar Johnson and reduces his credibility even further. And at that point, I didn't have to do nothing. I didn't have to say anything. I was like, oh, okay, well, now I guess it's a fight between those two. So I'm not involved anymore. Now, I wasn't going to say nothing anyway. But I think from a strategic standpoint, and black people got to understand this, intelligent black people will get what I'm saying. Those who are not intelligent are going to think this is BS, and they're going to think, oh, well, this is stupid. I don't want to talk about this, and you wrong, Boyce, and you blah, blah, blah. Fine. If you feel that way, then you should get the fuck out. You should not be here. But intelligent black people will get what I'm trying to say. Black people, you got to be strategic. So let's keep going. And Talib Kweli is being very strategic in his takedown of the whole ADOS movement. And I don't know if he's going to take it all down, but I don't think I don't think this helps. I think he could have been an ally. He could have been a friend to the movement, because he supports reparations. Isn't that what it's supposed to be about? Is this about reparations, or is this about egos, or is this about specific agendas, or is this about alienating people, or is this about, acting like all the black immigrants are terrible people? I don't know. So anyway, so let's keep going. So in this article, which is on medium.com, Talib Kweli, he also talks about the blood and soil tweet, which was used by the Nazis, and he's connecting her to the Nazis now, which is really bad. He says, as damning as all of these facts about Yvette Carnell's actions are, her intentions were not made clear to me until I found out that she's an admittedly proud board member of an anti-immigration organization that deceptively calls itself Progressives for Immigration Reform. In case you are someone who doesn't understand that progressives generally don't fight for immigration reform, let me break this down for you. PFIR, the organization that he's talking about, was designated as a hate group by the Anti-Defamation League and the SPLC because it is funded by John Tanton, a white nationalist well known for creating right-wing think tanks that are specifically designed to get minority voters to align with GOP-supported anti-immigration policy. Now, I understood why everyone following Yvette Carnell and supporting her movement were so hateful to immigrants. That was by design. That's the whole point. ADOS is an insidious right-wing funded anti-immigration hashtag movement cloaked in the righteous language of reparations. That statement was powerful. It was wrong, but it was very impactful, because effectively what it's doing is it is basically telling anybody who is anti-Trump or anybody who associates Trumpism with racism that this is a pro-Trump movement, that this is a right-wing movement. And people are triggered by this. It's very important for black people who believe, black folks who believe that black people deserve reparations, black folks who believe that black people can do for self, black people who believe that black people can or should abandon the Democratic Party have to be extremely careful to make it 100% abundantly clear that you are not a supporter of the right wing, that you are not a Republican, you're not running out to vote for Trump, none of that. But here's the thing though, even if you were, personally, I don't care. I've had Trump supporters come to my events and I don't even know that they're Trump supporters because I don't ask. I don't care. All I want to know is, are you a black supporter? I don't want to know if you're a Democrat or Republican. I want to know, are you black? If you're black, then come on in. If you ain't black, then stay out. Right. So ultimately, I mean, meaning if you're not black in the mind, I'm not talking, we've had white folks come in and it is what it is, but if you're black and you support black and you're pro-black and you happen to be a Trump supporter, then I might want to know why or what's driving you, but I'm going to just say this. I know good people who supported the Democrats. I know good people who have supported the Republicans. I do not like the idea that the Democratic Party has hijacked the concept of racial justice to imply that if you didn't support the Democrats, then you don't support racial justice. That's bullshit. The Democratic Party and racial justice are not one and the same. Also, the Republican Party and racial animosity or racism are not always one and the same. If that's the case, then why is it that I know black people who are very much committed to the black community, who just hate the Democratic Party so much that they voted for Trump? They didn't vote for Trump because they love the Republicans and they love what they stand for. They voted for Trump because they hated Hillary Clinton. That's what it, people don't vote for who they believe in. They vote against what they hate. That's what politics has been reduced to in America in a two-party system. How many of you voted, if you voted in the last election, how many of you voted because you truly felt that the politician you were voting for was the best person for office? Versus how many of you voted for somebody because you couldn't actually get the option you really wanted? How many of you voted for somebody because you just thought they were less of a son of a bitch than the person that was on the other side? Seriously. I know good black people. I'm talking about good, hardworking black folks, do for self people who love the black community, who voted for Trump because it might be something basic. They might say, I don't believe in abortion under any circumstances because that's what my faith tells me. So I cannot support Hillary Clinton because Hillary wants to make abortions more widespread, right? I don't think that makes you a sellout. It doesn't. To me, your commitment to the black community is not always directly correlated with what political party you're connected to. It matters to me in many cases about as much as the color of the shoes that you have on your feet. So some black folks respond to the disrespect of the Democratic Party by going Republican. Some black folks respond to the disrespect by saying, I'm not giving my vote to anybody. And that's where I am. If I'm given the choice between marrying a terrible woman who's gonna rob me and try to kill me in my sleep versus marrying another terrible woman who's gonna who's gonna try to get somebody to rape me while I'm sleeping or steal my money or kill my children, I don't want to choose between those two women. I'm gonna stay single. I ain't marrying nobody. And just because I ain't marrying you don't mean I'm marrying her. Well, wait, what about that bit? Why are you going to her side? I'm not going to nobody's side. I'm going to my side. I'm doing what's best for me. So I think for black folks, I think it's okay for you to say, I don't want to be Democrat. I don't want to be Republican. I'm going to be black. How about that? How about we put the black party ahead of the Democrat and Republican Party and stop correlating racial justice with what political party you're connected to? How about we let that shit go today? Tell me you're willing right now, if you consider this, tell me you will let go of this idea that the political party you support is connected with how committed you are to blackness. There is no party that has a monopoly on black progress. There is none. Malcolm X, go listen to Malcolm X and what he said about the liberals. Malcolm X, he talked about the liberals like a damn dog. Malcolm X said that you need to watch out for the liberals because they're going to give you poison. It's going to taste like Kool-Aid. And black folks will run up in droves like, oh, well, we got to support the Democrats. We dumb little penguins. We're going to do what they think because we don't want the Republicans to get power because the Republicans get power. We all going to die. No. So if you're looking for, I think somebody said, well, you haven't mentioned where Talib Kweli is wrong in the article. Well, that's an area where he's definitely wrong. But again, making him wrong don't make Yvette Carnell right. I know Yvette extremely well. I worked very closely with her for many years. I got receipts on that too, of how many tens of thousands of dollars that she got from working with me over all those years. She got real money. How many of you have friends that you've actually paid tens of thousands of dollars to? I doubt very many hands will go up. I can say that my hand, I'll go up, right? Do I regret it? I don't regret it at all. But I do resent the idea that somehow I was sabotaging her progress all along, because I wasn't. If I was sabotaging it, I don't give money to people I sabotage. I give money to people I support. So I know, but so just because I'm supporting one doesn't mean I'm not supporting the other. Just because I am critiquing one doesn't mean I'm not that I'm necessarily critiquing or not critiquing the other. It's completely uncorrelated. What I'm critiquing here is on a different level. I want to take us to a different level. The different level goes back to the movie Crimson Tide. Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman starred in this movie called Crimson Tide back in 1995. Does anybody remember that movie? In the movie Crimson Tide, there was a point where Denzel Washington is sitting there with Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman's an old guy. He's not. He seems like he might be racist, but maybe he's not. But he's like old school in terms of what he believes about military strategy. And he's looking at Denzel, kind of like this uppity guy who went to Harvard or whatever. So you know, the older guy, Gene Hackman's character, is kind of like my dad. My dad's like a hardcore old school. He's a veteran. You know, he kind of makes fun of people like me that go off to college and get all this education, right? But then Denzel is sitting there and he's talking to this old school guy, and they're talking about war. And Denzel basically says to him, some of y'all remember this scene. It was a very powerful scene if you really think about it. He said, in a war, the enemy is not the other person. And he's like, oh, well, then Mr. Wilson, then who is the real enemy? Please, everyone be quiet, because he's going to tell us who the real enemy is. And so Denzel just humbly says, well, sir, the enemy of war is war itself. And that is something I want you to process today. I want you to carry that with you. That in the Black community, the enemy in war is not always the other person. The enemy of war is the occurrence of war itself. Because when you go to war, war is not productive. War is destructive. War does not build. War tears down. War does not make anybody better. War simply makes whatever you built, it makes it less likely to exist. Things get destroyed in war. So when Eric Holder decided that whatever little beef he had with Nipsey Hussle wasn't going to work out, and he went to war with Nipsey, in that situation, there were no winners in that situation. Eric Holder did not win his bout with Nipsey because Eric Holder is going to be in prison for the rest of his life, and he's probably going to have people trying to kill him till the day he dies, until somebody actually does. So Eric Holder is not the winner. Eric Holder, in that particular case, some might say that Eric Holder is not the winner. All he is he was not the biggest loser. And I'm going to go on, I'm going to say that based on the assumption of the Ice Cube made in his song, where he said, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Right? I'd rather be in a courtroom getting judged by a jury that's not my peers, a bunch of white folks sending me off to the gulags, than to be in a casket where people are at my memorial carrying my casket out of the building on my way to a cemetery. Like you're choosing between a rock and a hard place. You're choosing either death or destruction, but neither one of them is a favorable outcome. So again, if Eric Holder was a person that was trained to play chess, like Nipsey was a smart guy. You know, he wasn't perfect. Nobody's perfect, but he seemed like he was a smart guy. He had a vision, right? If both of these men are trained to be chess players, then they would do what the Crips and Bloods are doing right now. The Crips and Bloods are playing chess now. White folks had them playing checkers. Now they're playing chess, and they realize, wait a minute, the enemy in war is not the person wearing a different color from me. The enemy of war is war itself. So the only way there can be a true victor in this interaction is if we find our way to peace. If we find a way to overcome all the differences that we have, so that we're not trying to go out here and kill each other and destroy our own community, tear up our own streets, terrorize our own children, send our own men off to prison and to the cemeteries, then that's when we all win. And that's why you got Minister Farrakhan out there in California, along with all the other dignitaries at the Nipsey Hussle Memorial. Because Farrakhan's and this is why Farrakhan's so important, is he's one of the few individuals that has the vision and the capability of getting these very strong Black men to come together and realize who the real enemy is, and to play chess, not checkers. So at the end of the day, you know, this article made me sad, because I don't think anybody's going to win. I don't think anybody wins. You know, I'm reading this and I'm like, wow, you know, he's really coming hard at Yvette Carnell. Yvette's a smart lady. She's a digital gangster. I'd love to see her debate people more in public. She's not a big debater. When she attacked Farrakhan and I wanted her to debate one of the men from the Nation of Islam, she refused to do that. And I thought I didn't like that. I wanted her to debate him, because I said, look, we need all the ideas on the table. And if you're going to go and attack somebody that they love, then you need to be ready to defend that. You need to defend what you said, you know, to somebody who doesn't agree with you. You can't just, you know, throw your hand and then hide. That doesn't make any sense. So I don't know if she'll ever do that kind of thing, like have a debate with Talib or anybody else. I think it'll probably end up becoming something that devolves to some sort of immature, you know, I'm going to hashtag you to death. I'm going to tweet at you and make you cry. And I'm going to say bad things about you and make people not like you. And it becomes very high schoolish. That's what black people do. Black people get, you know, the internet has turned us into a bunch of high school kids where we decide that the best way to attack another person is to expose them as a fraud, or to attack them, or to show a picture of what they look like in the 8th grade, and or to put their public address out there so people can go and harass them and terrorize them. Like we just do the silliest stuff. And I just remember seeing all that, and I said, no, I'm not doing that, man. I'm a black man. I'm a professor, and I'm 47 years old. You know, I'm not gonna go out here and act like no little kid. You know, that's not nobody wins when you do that. So let me keep going. Let me finish reading the rest of this article. I keep having to hit this button over here for you guys on YouTube. If you disappear, just stay there, because you're on my phone, and this stupid Samsung phone. My iPhone lets me block people, so that's why there's no interference. But on my Samsung, it keeps interrupting. Hit the thumbs up button, please. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do that. Also, if you believe in the platform, you want to support, we'd love your support. You can go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. Also, if you want to learn about wealth and things like that, you can go to blackmoney101.com. That's blackmoney101.com. So let me hit this button again. Okay, so here's what it says. It says PFIR, the organization that Yvette Carnell's on the board of, was designated as a hate group by the Anti-Defamation League and the SPLC because it was funded by a guy named John Tanton, a white nationalist well known for creating right-wing think tanks that are specifically designed to get minority voters to align with GOP-supported anti-immigration policy. Now, the reason that that's fascinating to me is that one trick that the liberals play is they get you into this mindset that if you don't go along with their vision of immigration policy, their vision of allowing illegal immigration to happen without any sort of control whatsoever, that you're aligning with racists, right? So what they're doing is they've co-opted anti-black racism, and they're now throwing in anybody who doesn't agree that we should just let people from Mexico just ramsack through the border whenever they want. And I'm gonna tell you just right now, you know, I'm not a fan of wide open immigration. I think that that's hurt black people. I think that when you're letting just a seamless flow of illegal immigrants come into the country, that it does not help black folks. Dr. Claude Anderson has broken that down. He's actually explained how immigration policy has diluted black votes. It has diluted blacks economically. It has allowed people to come into your communities and to steal all your money, pretty much, set up shop right there in your community. So black people, so this little statement, I don't know this John Tanton guy. I don't know if I would like him or not like him, but if you're gonna convince me that he's a racist, you got to do more than tell me that he's not in support of the Democratic vision of immigration policy. That does not make him a racist. That might make him a pragmatic individual. That might make him a genius. That might make him smart enough to realize that certain people are hurt when you have wide open borders and you act like people who got here illegally, that they're the same as, that we should just act like it never happened. You know, seriously, think about this. There's very few countries in the world I can think of where you could go in illegally, violate a federal crime, and then have people act like you didn't do anything wrong. When you break into the country illegally, you're violating federal law. So if you're going to let people from other countries come to the U.S. and violate federal law by coming in illegally, then I know a whole lot. I got a long list of black people who broke federal law. I'm talking about dope dealers from the 1980s, people that got into situations with RICO, all this, maybe weed possession, got hit with some Fed charges. I know a lady who mismanaged a grant, who, it was an honest mistake, but she mismanaged a grant. She got a federal charge. So why don't we let all those people out? Since you're acting like federal law does not matter. But no, you want to act like it doesn't matter when it comes to illegal immigrants. But for black people, federal law matters a lot. The Fed charges are what got your uncle sent away for 25 life sentences when he was dealing cocaine in the 1980s. So at the end of the day, I don't know if this guy is racist or whatever. All I know is that the language that Talib is using in this article, what it's done is it's alienated more mainstream Democrats, black Democrats, from even hearing out the ADOS movement. He sort of made them toxic in a way, and I think that that's unfair. And so I'm going to go ahead and publicly say that I'm still in support of the ADOS concept. I will even support the leadership in the sense that, look, they may, just because you don't like me don't mean I got to spend my time, waste my energy hating you. I'm not going to waste my energy hating you if you hate me. That's just, that hurts me. Hate does not help me. So fine, if you want me to support, y'all see me use the hashtag, I will support the hashtag because I believe in reparations. What I would like to see is I would like to see a more mature, more strategic approach, and one that is less laden with this demagoguery of look at me, I created this. This is my hashtag. You know, like this, and maybe it comes from like sort of feeling like nobody knows who I am, nobody's listening to me, so I'm gonna keep screaming and hollering and throwing darts at people until I finally get the world's attention. Well, now you got the world's attention. Now people are listening to you. Now you can say, okay, now that I've achieved something, now I've become somebody. Now I don't have a chip on my shoulder no more. I'm going to start going out here and making alliances with individuals so that I'm not seen as a person who's just mad all the damn time. You know, so anyway, let me keep going. He says, to live in the article, he keeps writing, he says, what most ADOS folks say when I present the evidence that Yvette Carnell is a fraud is to look at their website, ados101.com. On this site, ADOS co-founder Antonio Morey, he says, or created by Antonio Morey, Ronald Reagan is celebrated as being helpful to the Black community. Donald Trump is celebrated as being helpful to Black communities. Barack Obama, the first Black president, is critiqued as not being helpful to Black communities. I have no issues with critique of Obama, but when critique of Obama is buttressed with the celebration of Reagan and Trump, that's clearly right-wing propaganda. Now, y'all may think Talib Kweli is just a rapper, but he ain't just a rapper. This brother is being surgical with this shit. Because I'm gonna just tell you right now, I would find it hard to believe that Yvette and Tone are big supporters of Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. I've never seen anything like that. But if there is language that supports that idea, or just laying that idea out there, that right there creates doubt in the minds of lots of people that might be supporters. Again, it didn't have to even get to this point. They should be working together. So there's more in the article, more about, you know, European, ethnicity or DNA and all this other stuff. And there's more here, and you can go look at it. It's on medium.com. There's more to it. The title of the article is ADOS is Trash, Receipts Attached. And it's by Talib Kweli Green. I was stunned to see the article that he would take that much time to write that many words about this topic. And I just personally think that it's sad. I mean, I think it's unnecessary. And I'm going to just, you know, if you want my final conclusion on this, I think that we can move better. I don't want to be anybody's political candidate. I don't want to be anybody's Black leader even. I'm not that. I'm a scholar. I'm a thinker. Maybe at best I'm an advisor, right? So as I give my advice, one of the things I would say is that I think that we have to get to the point where we, number one, remember that movements should be bigger than their founders. Anybody who has a movement where they are spending more time talking about how great they are than they talk about how great you are or how great the movement is, that's not a person that I personally would follow, because I would wonder where your incentives lie. I think also we need to have space in the Black community for people to find a way to work together without feeling like you have to be in lockstep on everything. This whole culture of I'm going to destroy you and expose you as a fraud and ruin you because you're a little bit different from me. That's not going to help us. That does not. I mean, we already have 1,000 enemies. Everybody already hates Black people. So why is it that, given that you know that everybody hates Black people, why is it that you are spending time attacking other Black people? You know, that doesn't even make any sense. You know, and so I would just say, you know, put Black people at the bottom of your priority list. You know, it's like if I want to complain about businesses, if you go out of your way to dismantle and to destroy a Black business and be pissed off about a Black business and scream on YouTube about how bad a Black business is, you know, why did you walk past all the white businesses before you got to the Black one? Like, why didn't you, you know, you got 1,000 white businesses taking 1,000 times more money out of your pocket, doing you 1,000 times dirtier than that Black business did. So why would you go out of your way to attack a Black business when you had a lot of other white businesses to go after? You know, we have no shortage of enemies. We have no shortage of targets. We have no shortage of potential public enemies, number one. So I'm not here to say that we can't empathize when somebody does see a black person that needs to be dealt with, but I don't know why we choose to put black people at the top of the list every time. So what I would like to see is I'm sure this is going to get messy. I'm sure Yvette and Tone are already strategizing their responses to Talib Kweli, or maybe something horrible they want to say about me, and that's fine. It's fine. I don't care about that. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. In fact, I probably won't even address it much anymore because I got more important things to do. But I do think at the end of the day, we got to all sort of take a moment of silence and mourn a little bit for the fact that, all this is even going down. It was not necessary at all. So that's my 2 cents on it. Please hit the thumbs up button before you go. I'm about to go to the gym. Vicki Dillard is going to address this issue, I think, tomorrow night on FlyNewBeingQueenTV.com. I look forward to hearing her perspective. She's very, very, very smart. She researches extremely well, and I encourage you to go take a look and a listen to her perspective as well, not just my point of view. So anyway, take care, everybody. I'm out of here. Have a good day. And don't forget, please hit that thumbs up button. And also, if you want to support the platform, please go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. And don't forget, we're also on iTunes. So if you want to listen on iTunes to the Dr. Boyce TV podcast, you can do that as well. So I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day. Talk to you.